That is not disappearing. That is not going to work.
Change a different background.
Pam, let them know we are live. We're live.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
That's all right.
They got galaxies.
What do you want me to do? Just turn it.
Geraldine, y'all might need to check your green screen indication. Check it. And Elder Moore, you all are unmuted, okay? At the moment.
Good evening, everyone. We are now live on Facebook and YouTube. I want to thank our Metropolitan Cathedral of Truth family for joining us this evening. This is our final session of our COVID sessions for September. We talked about COVID in regards to what it is and the vaccine on September 8th. Last Wednesday, the 22nd, we talked about COVID in relation to mental health. And tonight we are talking about COVID in relation to our healthy eating and keeping our bodies well-fed, vitamins, however we need to do it. We're talking about COVID in that respect this evening. We want to thank you for joining us. Our pastor is Pastor Kenneth Barrington. Good evening, Pastor.
Good evening.
And in a few short seconds, I'm going to turn it over to our facilitator. But I want to ask everybody that's joining by Zoom, if you are able, if you would please put your camera on so we can see your lovely faces, if you are able to. I want to also let you know, again, if you would prefer not to be on Zoom, you can join us by Facebook and YouTube. And now, without further ado, I want to place you in the hands of our facilitator this evening, Ms. Sheila Morris from the Florida Department of Health.
Good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure to be here today, and thank you so much for the invite. And I get a chance to see some people who I haven't seen in a while. So again, thank you to your entire church and your pastor. I am Sheila Morris. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator for the Leon County Health Department here in Tallahassee, Florida. And one of the programs that I manage is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So, and it's known to a lot of people, you may have heard of, it's called SNAP Ed, and it's basically SNAP education, talking about food and nutrition. So for your past few weeks, the first week you had Derek Montgomery to come and talk about COVID overall. Last week you had Chastity Peoples to come and talk about stress and mental health. Am I correct? Okay, so tonight, what I want to focus on is not so much COVID, because I'm sure Derek gave you a whole lot of details when it came to COVID. One thing that we want to stress on is eating healthy in general, overall, because you are what you eat. So if you don't take care of yourself at 20, guess how you're going to be at 30? You have to, it's how to eat, how to live. So I have a quick little PowerPoint that I'm gonna go ahead and start. But what I want to do first, how many people we have on the call? several.
Yeah, we just had some more join.
14.
About 14 right now, Sheila.
Okay. So what I always like to do when I start out, I like for people to give me a word. And so I'm gonna start with the wards. Give me your word, any positive word that you want to say.
Joy.
All
Have
right.
joy.
Mr. Ward, what's your word?
Oh, living well.
Okay. Next person.
Enjoyment.
Okay. Next person.
Balance.
Balance.
Mhm.
And the next person.
Hope.
Hope.
Yes.
Peace.
Okay. Next person.
Peace.
Serenity.
Peace.
Oh.
Okay. And who's next?
Joy.
I think somebody already said joy. Yeah, I already have joy.
Faith. Faith.
Okay. All right. Is that it? Did we get
Well,
it?
I said serenity at the same time that someone else said peace. So those two words about the same, really.
All righty. All right. So at the end, I'll tell you what we're going to do with those words. But we're going to go ahead and get started. And Lady Ward, if you'll go ahead and share the screen. Okay. So as I stated earlier, the SNAP Ed stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So I'm working from two computers because my main computer didn't want to log on or didn't want to show my face. So I had to get on my phone. So I'm working back and forth. So bear with me. So the first thing we're going to discuss is the 3 steps to a better health. The first thing is a healthy diet. The second thing is to be active. And the third thing is to choose the right beverage. So let's start with a healthy diet. We're going to focus on what we call my plate, my family. A lot of times we don't consider how our plate should look. I remember growing up and your mom said, do you want to have a happy plate? You got to eat everything off your plate. You know, if you want to do this, you want to do that, let's have a happy plate. But right now, what we have to consider a happy plate is our fruits, our grains, our dairy, our vegetables, and our protein. So on slide number 2, you can go to the next slide, Ms. Ward. Slide number 2, number 1 talks about the, go back up the slide number 2. Yes. Number 1 talks about a healthy diet. 2 talks about be active, and then 3 talks about choose the right beverage. So a healthy diet again consists of your fruits, your grains, your vegetables, and your protein. So when you look at your plate, you want to have a colorful plate like that, filled with greens, meat, whether it be fish, whether it be chicken. On there are some lean beef, a healthy plate, but you don't want to have a plate where it's full with a whole lot of starch. Like some people, when they're preparing their plate, or you see them at a buffet, the bottom of the plate has rice on it, the top part has chicken, and just a little corner has the green leafy vegetables. That's not a good plate. We want a healthy diet. So look, it says choose my plate. And you can also, if you have on your smartphones, Google my plate and download that app. And every day you could look at the different things that you need to do in order to maintain a healthy diet. The next thing is to be active, whether it's to ride a bike, go for a walk, go for a run, play tennis, jump rope. Now, everybody has to do things according to their own health bill. So some people, everybody can't work out every morning. You have to do things by steps. What I recommend that when you decide you want to get an exercise program, talk to your primary care provider and decide with them, because I don't know everybody's background and health history, what's the best thing would help with you. For example, a lot of times when I do not want to walk because I don't have anybody to walk with me, or they don't want to get up early, then I'll walk outside my house around about 10 times, and that's exercise. So you want to get some type of exercise in and stretch. It's great to go sit on your porch in the daytime, but you gotta stretch and you gotta, take some steps. If you live in the middle of your street and the corner is less than a block away, walk to the stop sign and back. The third thing is choose the right beverage. You want to make sure things with not full of a lot of sugar. You want to drink water. You want to make sure that you're staying hydrated. That's very important, especially during the summer months. You want to stay hydrated. Next slide, Lady Ward. So healthy diet, what is each portion? So we know that the top left over there, those are your fruits. Then you have your vegetables, then you have your protein, and then you have your grains and your dairy. So this is how you should set your plate up. Next slide, Lady Ward. Okay. Again, fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, and dairies. Fill half your plate with fruits and veggies. Whole grains fill your tummy. Dairy builds your bones and strengthens your teeth. This is how your plate should look. The beans, the eggs, the seeds, and nuts are proteins too. So choose healthy snacks. Next slide. Handy portions. Again, like I told you, some people will fill the whole plate with rice or grits or mashed potatoes, but look at portions. And this slide really indicates how you need to do your portions. It's only the size of your hand. And I like this slide because it says this handy guide helps you to show you what thumbs up, how things should look. Just a handful, not that much. Next slide, Lady Ward. So now it's quiz time. How many ounces, and you just tell me and then I'll give you the answer. How many ounces are in one serving of meat? Chicken, beef, pork, etc. Who can tell me?
4 ounces.
Okay, who can tell me?
4 ounces.
4 ounces? Okay, let's go to the next slide. And the answer is 3 ounces. You were close.
Oh.
Okay, no problem. Next slide is how big is one serving of peanut butter?
1 tablespoon. Oh.
I said teaspoon.
Okay, go to the next slide. The correct answer is 1 tablespoon. Okay, the next one is how big is one serving of cooked beans, whether it be your black beans or baked beans? How big is that serving?
1/2 cup.
One half a cup. Okay. All right, the next slide. So many years ago, we would teach the children about the kids' activity pyramid. These are things that you can share with your children to get them to understand why it's important and do something with the family about the pyramid. Things that they need to eat every day, things they need to eat 3 to 5 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week, and what you need to do on a continuous basis. Next slide. Why is it important that you exercise? We're on slide number 13, Lady Ward.
Sorry, my mouse
You
went
okay?
somewhere else.
Okay. It's important to exercise so you can strengthen your bones and your muscles. It sharpens your thinking and it helps your heart becomes more efficient. Exercise helps you sleep more restfully. Let's go to slide 14. Time to get active. Even just sitting in your house tonight, do some stretches, jumping jacks, what is going to suit you? Because not every exercise fits everyone. That's why it says best to talk to your primary care provider about what's the great thing to do as far as exercise. Slide 15.
You ate all your food? Good boy.
Okay. Rethink your drink. Always look at labels on anything, whether it's beans or drink. Powerades are great. Gatorade is great, but guess what? It's a lot of sugar in it. So you want to rethink your drink. And that's what this slide here indicates about rethinking your drink. Slide number 16. Hydrating foods that are rich in water is your watermelon, cucumbers, tomatoes, pineapples, cantaloupes, grapefruits, blueberries, lettuce, and pears. They're rich in water. So a lot of times you can eat your water. Not only just when it comes to COVID, just anything in general. If you don't keep up a great appetite, maintain a healthy diet, if you become sick with anything, it's going to be a hard on you because you remember how the elderly people say you got to have some strength, you got to eat to keep your strength up. And when a lot of people would get colds or whatever, the first thing they do is go make a good hot cup of soup and includes things like tomatoes and celery in them. So these are the kind of things that are rich in water and it's very helpful for your diet. So we're going to go now to slide number 17. True or false? Does your body lose water while you're asleep? And that answer would be true. You can go to the next slide.
Yeah, you're sweating, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go over these answers with you. You can get fluids you need from foods. You can eat your water, but at the same time, you got to drink a lot of water or you become dehydrated. You should drink fluids only when you're really thirsty. No, you should drink fluids continuously. Drink water as much as possible because the older you get, and even at a younger age, if you don't drink enough water, you're going to be dehydrated and you're going to wonder why you kind of feel a little, like they say, lightheaded or you kind of woozy because you're dehydrated. Waters help carry minerals and vitamins in the food you eat throughout your body. You drink more water when you're outdoors, true. But again, you want to maintain and stay hydrated. Next slide, slide 19, Lady Ward. Okay. Always remember to take advantage of eating healthy, drinking your water, and exercise. So the main thing is, I know you all have been talking about COVID, but overall, maintaining, like the first slide said, maintaining a healthy diet. I emailed this presentation also to Lady Ward so that she could share with you later on that you can have for your own guide to go back to. But eating healthy, you eat smaller portions so that you're not just piling your plate up, watching what you eat. I went to a meeting about a week ago and 3 people sitting at the table, they had their plates, but before they even taste their food, guess what they did?
Salt
and pepper. And I was like, how do you know you need salt and pepper on there?
ain't taste.
Like, oh, yeah. They tell me, oh, I know I do. No, you don't. So these are the kind of things that you have to pay attention to. If you become a couch potato or recliner potato, and what I mean by that, just sitting in the chair and using the remote, never getting up and moving, then you're going to gain excess weight or you're going to become a little stiff. So you got to get up and stretch. I do know that some people have, already have other challenges, but again, get with your primary care provider to do those different things. Get a regular checkup at least every 6 months. Make sure that your doctor is ordering the labs that you need, regardless whether you're 25 or whether you're 75. The way a primary physician knows what's going on with you by doing basic lab work. They could tell anything that's going on from your heart to your toe, getting the lab work. So I had a friend of mine that one day said, my big toe is always hurting, always hurting. I think I may be a diabetic. Wasn't a diabetic. You know what's wrong with her? Not drinking enough water and her potassium was low and not eating foods that are rich in potassium, such as your bananas, all of those things, your berries and your cherries. So it's important that when you go shopping in the grocery store, you read the labels. You try to buy fresh fruits. I do know sometimes when people who are diabetic, sometimes the fresh fruits can be a flip side to you because it's sweeter and the sugar can cause you to have problems. But again, it's very important to have a relationship with your primary care provider. The other thing is, if you are a member of Capital Health Plan or Blue Cross Blue Shield, although you have a primary care provider, because think about it, it's primary. Request for a nutritionist if you're diabetic or if you have some other type of underlying issues. So that way that can help you stay on track. When you go and see your doctor, make little notes. Think about the things that you want to discuss that day. When a doctor comes in, they're going to say, "How you doing, Lady Ward? Okay, got your lab work back. Your lab work looks good. Everything look good. Your weight good. You been eating okay? All right. You need any prescriptions filled?" And if you say no, guess what? That's the end of your visit. So, but you want to ask those questions. You say, "My lab work is okay. How did it compare to the last lab work I had?" Those are the questions that we want to ask. Same thing when you go and pick up prescriptions. I don't care if you're going to pick up eye drops and the sign says, "Do you have a question for the pharmacist?" And that's why it's so funny when some people say, "Well, I didn't want to take the COVID vaccine because I don't know what's in it." But every time I go to Walgreens or CVS or Publix or Walmart and go with a pharmacy, past the pharmacy, I never see people in that line standing up asking the pharmacist any questions. So again, ask questions, know what you're taking, understand what you're taking. Some people have to take more than one pill for various things. I remember years ago when my grandmother was sick and she was going to like 2 different doctors and she had started becoming a little delirious. Well, come to find out, because she was taking about 3 pills that was the same thing and she didn't need to do that. So a lot of times when we have health fairs, we invite a pharmacist because they said, check the brown bag, check your meds. So it's very important that although your primary care doctor writes you that prescription, question them and say, "Hey, what is this going to do for my knee? I'm having knee problems. What does pill A do?" And if you still don't understand, a pharmacist, that's what they do. They study medication. They understand how things work. Any questions at this point? I don't want to just, keep going on and on because I can, but I just want to make sure that you're getting over that. Maintaining a healthy diet is not just because of COVID, but it's because, hey, you want to eat to live and you want to be living healthy. Getting those exercises, getting all those vitamin C and vitamin D in. A lot of time they say among our race, we lack vitamin D. You got to eat those things like your mangoes and your strawberries, things that's going to build your vitamin D, build your potassium up. Look at things like a healthy heart diet. And it's not a diet, but it's a way of lifestyle, how to eat. And this presentation is really good because of the fact that when we designed it, it's telling you and showing you what you can do on a daily basis. You get up in the morning, if you want to have your fruits and get your grains, your oatmeal and your fruits. When you make oatmeal, you can cut up some strawberries and put in there in your oatmeal with you. Then lunchtime, if you want to make your salad and sprinkle some chicken on top, or if you just want to have straight veggies. In the afternoon, you want to eat your full course meal, and then try not to eat so late. So like I see people sometimes, it's 10, 11 o'clock at night. They're eating 20 pieces of chicken wings and some fries. And they lay down and go to sleep. And guess what? In the middle of the night, they're in pain because you shouldn't eat that late. And then look what you ate. You ate 20 wings. You ate enough for Pastor Ward, Lady Ward, and myself. So you can't overindulge. Any questions at this point? So we want to maintain a healthy diet. The other thing is, the important thing is when you go to your doctor, also find out what your BMI is, your body mass index, because everybody's different. So you may have 4 boxes, but they're different sizes. So each person has to do things different. What may work for Lady Ward, she may be fine taking Claritin for sinus and allergies. I might work better with Allegra. Everything doesn't fit everybody. So that's why you have to have that serious discussion. You're not being a hypochondriac. You're being concerned about what you're doing. So if you've been going to your doctor on a consistent basis and you haven't had lab work in 2 years, call your doctor tomorrow and make an appointment. Say, hey, I need to just get some lab work. I feel fine, but I want to make sure. I want to make sure that my cholesterol levels are right. I want to make sure that when I take a urine sample that is right, it's not too cloudy, not too yellow. I want to make sure I don't have any kidney stones. I want to make sure my heart is running right, you know? So those are the kind of things that you want to do. In times that we're living in, maintaining a healthy diet is very important. Before COVID, maintaining a healthy diet is very important. After COVID, maintaining a healthy diet is very important. When you maintain a healthy diet, it promotes good hair, promotes good nails. Your nails won't be brittle. It promotes good eyes, all of those things. Think about, instead of sometime eating some chocolate for a snack, when you go in Publix or Winn-Dixie, buy those packs of carrots. Eat just some carrots. Some people buy those fruit cups, but guess what? Those fruit cups are full of what? Sugar. Yeah.
Sheila, you have one question. The question is air frying really a healthier way to cook?
That's what they say. As opposed to using the grease, but at the same, it's not actually frying because you're not using oil. Most people kind of just like, and Pastor Ward, you can correct me on this about because you're the famous cook. When you use the air fryer, you just spray a little bit in the pan just to kind of get it wet. So you're not actually frying it, but it is better for you. According to my doctor, she recommends air frying over regular frying. Now, the other thing is, should you really eat fried food all the time?
No.
Okay, so you have to maintain that everything has to be done in moderation. Yeah. Like, for example, if you have acid reflux, you shouldn't eat fried food at all. But again, that's between you and your doctor, depending on what they say. And here's the other thing. Eating fried food, if you had Popeyes for lunch, Bojangles for dinner, that's probably not good. Any other questions?
Sheila, I have a question. When you're going to the doctor and you're talking with your doctor, and how do you prevent them from stereotyping you? I'll say it like this. I was having one heart doctor, cardiologist, and she looked at my size and she automatically assumed that my diet was off, and she told me, you just gotta stop eating all that fried food. I said, I probably eat fried food at least once a month. And she said, well, you gotta come off the pork. I said, ma'am, I really don't eat pork. It may be once every couple of months where I eat some pork. And I kept going. She kept naming stuff, and I kept going down, but she really had nothing else to give me. So what I did, I actually switched to another cardiologist. What else is there? How can we prevent our doctors from stereotyping us?
And Pastor Ward, you really can't, because people think the way they want to think. Because I remember, just in my case, I'm small frame. So I had a doctor one time, he said, when he got my lab work back, he said, oh, I just knew you was going to be anemic. So you can't really change people's mindset on things. But with her telling you all those things, she should have been able to look at your lab work and see if you were eating a lot of fried food or not being really healthy, your lab work would have been off. Your cholesterol would have been out the wazoo. So you really can't, but what you can do is exactly what you did, politely let her know, hey, this is what I eat, this is what I don't eat. And then if it becomes annoying, do just like you did, change providers. About a year ago, I changed my provider because my sinus was acting up over a weekend. Springtime, my sinuses always get like that when it's pollen. So I called you know, how you call the little urgent care, your own call doctor. And when I called, the lady came back on the phone and she told me, oh, the on-call doctor said take chlorocidin. I said, the on-call doctor told you to tell me what to take, and you just I guess working in the call center. She's like, yeah, and said that if you don't feel better, call on Monday. I sure did. I called me another provider because number one, you should have called me back. It wasn't even a nurse that I was talking to. I was talking to just the answering, basically the answering service that take the call, because what I'm used to from years ago with my daughter when she was, you know, growing up, if I call that doctor's office, the answering service answered the phone, and then they would back then would page the doctor, and then the doctor or a nurse would call you back, not the person. I wasn't discrediting her, but I need a medical professional to talk to me.
Hang on a second, we got another question. Why does office staff ask about night sweats? Why do they ask about night sweats?
As in relation to what? I'm not understanding.
Well, I know my when I go to the doctor's office, that's one of the things that they ask me, do you have night sweats?
Well, it could be for different reasons, depending on what's going on with you, what type of illnesses you may have. And right now, I know with COVID, sometimes people do sweat or have high fevers at night. So that may be why, as to finding out what's going on with your body. Because, for example, I know someone who's in the hospital now, and one of the things they experience, they have COVID also, is they experience having a high fever and night sweats. So that may be why. Those are one of the symptoms. Like I remember we first started, they were letting you come back into the doctor office when they were manning, like right after COVID at first, a lot of doctor offices were doing televisits. But one of the questions on there, what are some of the symptoms? Have you been experiencing night sweats? Have you had a severe cough? Have you had runny nose? Any upper respiratory thing? They'll ask those questions.
Okay. Right.
So they're asking it more as it pertains to the current situation with COVID. I know
Right.
sometimes on some of the medical records or some of the templates that a provider's office may have, I'll see them say they're denying night sweats. I don't know if it had anything to do with coronary issues, where somebody may have something going on with their heart or whatever.
And it may, because a lot of times when you fill out those forms, Ms. Barrington, they'll check off and say, like, I know my old provider, they'll have a lot of those questions on there. Since your last visit, have you experienced X, Y, Z? And it's just basically to give them a medium of what's going on. Because again, some people only go to the doctor once a year unless something else is going on, and some people go twice a year. So it's just following up to see what you've had. Because I know, like at my doctor's office right now, before you even get upstairs, they want to know, have you had a cough? Have you had a sneeze? Have you had any upper respiratory? And then when you get up, they ask you those same questions again. It's just a part of the routine.
Pastor Barrington has a question, Sheila.
Okay.
I know with what we're dealing with that's going on right now, one of the things that is always emphasizing the immune system. So what foods really help us to build our immune system?
Like your oranges, because that's a lot of vitamin C. Any foods that have vitamin C, like your oranges, your broccoli, tomatoes, all of those build vitamin C. I can also send you a list of that, email that to Lady Ward, so you'll have that list.
Yeah, I was just trying to find out. I know you take supplements. I'm taking elderberry and zinc and vitamin C.
You can take those, but you can also eat them.
I'm just trying to see how we can get that naturally, because nowadays everything is going to gummies. So
right, but if you do your oranges, you do your blueberries. I have a chart that I could take a picture of that Dr. Janice Rankin created when I worked at Bond with Ms. Barrington. And I could send that to you, Lady Ward, and get out. And it talks about what everything does as far as the berries and the bananas and the oranges and the grapefruits. Some people can't do grapefruits because they have high blood pressure, and the medicine counteracts each other. Yeah. So those are the kind of things. But definitely your vitamin C is definitely your oranges.
Okay. So your fruits,
Your fruits.
are probably going to be the key to building a strong immune system.
Drinking your vitamin C, drinking your orange juice. If you want to take a vitamin C supplement, but again, I will refer back to my primary care provider
Mm-hmm.
and see if they recommend that or not. But definitely eating that presentation that Ms. Ward is going to share with you will have all of those things also laid out as well. But I can send her some additional things for you.
Okay, now I don't know. I'm going to ask this. I know one of the things that I try to stay away from a lot of red meat, but I know it has a lot of protein in it. So what I started doing is I bought a drink from Sam's. It's 30 grams of protein with one calorie that you can buy from Sam's Club. 30 grams of protein for 1 calorie. And that's
Right.
all.
So,
Yeah.
Pastor Barrington, I'm going to say this. When it comes to how each individual, choose, a lot of people don't eat red meat.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't eat pork. Some people only eat chicken and fish. Some people eat more a pescatarian diet where they only eat fish only and shrimp only. Some people are vegan. Based upon that and how you get your proteins, I'm go back to what I've been saying is definitely consult your primary care provider or see a nutritionist to make sure that everything works well with you.
Okay.
Tell you another quick story. Good friend of mine, she doesn't eat chicken, so she only eats fish. So because of that, she was deficient in B12 and she had to take a B12 supplement.
Wow.
So before you stop doing something or thinking about it, definitely consult with your primary care provider. I mean, you see a lot of commercials, you see a lot of people on social media said, eat this, don't eat that, do this, don't do that, do this kind of diet. But everybody is different because what works for you may not work for me. And if you don't get the right things that you need for you, for your body makeup, then you could put yourself in danger to risk yourself having illnesses as well. So before a person decides to do those type things, they definitely need to consult with their primary care provider. And if you have individuals within your church or your community or organizations who do not have a primary care provider, who are no insurance or underinsured, they can always reach out to Bond Community Health Center or Neighborhood Medical Center for help. Also, right now, open enrollment for insurance is coming up. So let's say you have a person and they may work at Walmart, but they can't afford the insurance there, or they could possibly even work for the state. You can get what we call the affordable insurance. So, Lady Ford, I could put you in touch with somebody who down the road can do a presentation for you and talk about the various insurance and sign people up at your church for them.
Please.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize that even if you only work 25 hours, you can get affordable health care. But it's based upon what you make and the insurance agent to sit down with you and guide you the right way. So with that being said, there's no excuse for people not to be able to go in and get a checkup once a year because there are options out there. But we as a people have to make sure we share that with individuals. So I'll send you that, a couple of names, Anderson Insurance Solutions, Miss Gail Bridges Bright, because it's open enrollment. And make sure that your senior citizens that is open enrollment to make sure they do what they need to do and make sure they don't change. My grandmother, about 10 years ago, somebody called on the phone and said they were calling from XYZ WellCare Insurance, and she changed her plan and it was all messed up, and we had to wait till the next year to get her straightened back out. So to make sure that you're guiding your people how to do the plans, and you have Ms. Barrington there who by all means know everything about all the plans. So that's very helpful. But, I know a lot of times people meet other people outside the Walker Church because we always doing what we need to do, ministering to somebody about how to maintain life. So when you have that walk, just be able to have those resources. And again, I'll make sure you have that. Any additional questions? So what we have to do as it relates to COVID, not only do we have to eat right, but although we've taken the vaccine, let me put it this way, whether you're taking the vaccine or not, I'm not asking questions who's taking and who's not. The main thing is that you still realize that you can still get COVID. So hand washing is very important. If you're walking in the store and you pull that door open and you don't have on gloves, wash your hands immediately. Sanitize your hands immediately. Even if you have on gloves, sanitize your hands immediately. Continue to wear your mask. Know who you allow come in your home. Still go get a COVID test. Because some people say, well, I only go to my house, but you go shopping at Walmart, Publix, and Winn-Dixie. So you've been in grocery stores where you see that one person that stand there and pick up all the peaches. I just have to be honest with you.
It's true.
They always, and even if some people say, well, I buy the ones that are already in the bag. Well, some people do that. They still touch all the bags. So those are the kind of things that we have to be conscious of, not only for us, but we have to teach our other relatives, whether they're the children, whether they're adults, because sometimes as adults, we can get a little, excited and, hey, boom, still avoid large gatherings, knowing what you picking up and where you're going. If you work on the front line, most definitely you need to get tested on a regular basis. I know these days, if you're sitting by somebody, you don't even want to sneeze or cough by accident because they're like looking at you like, oh, what's wrong? But you want to maintain those type things. And together we can conquer this. If we do what we need to do, hand washing, wear a mask, go get tested. Again, if it's someone who don't want to take the vaccine, that's their choice. But the only thing that we can do is is like this. Make sure in your household you're maintaining properly, and we can encourage others and give them the information, because we do know this, that 97% of the people who have not been vaccinated, they come down with COVID. Yes, we have had a few breakthrough cases for various reasons. I have a relative who's a prostate cancer survivor, but he came down with COVID. He had been vaccinated, but just think, had he not had that vaccine. So those are the kind of things that we need to make sure we maintain. And again, information changes every day as it relates to COVID. So what might have came out this morning may not be the right answer this afternoon. Have another question?
Yes, I saw his question. Elder Keith, you're muted. You have to unmute. Unmute yourself.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
Yes. Now, on the testing, how often can you be tested?
You can get, they do ask you when the last time you was tested. So let's say this, for example, Pastor Barrington, if you went to Jacksonville today, and while you were in Jacksonville, when you get back home to Tallahassee, you get a call and said, your cousin just tested positive for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need to go take a test, but you need to wait about 3 days.
Okay.
All right. And then about 7 to 10 days after that, go get tested again to make sure that you're clear.
Okay.
Now, if you haven't been around anybody, but you work on the front lines, a lot of people who work on the front lines, such as nurses or doctors, they go every 14 days, every other week to get tested.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Sheila, do you
But those are the
have
kind of things.
do you have anything about portion size for everything? Like how much of each meat, or how much juice you should drink? Because I know you just can't drink a whole 16-ounce bottle of juice, because that's just the same as messing yourself up as well as far as sugar.
Right. And that's where it comes to rethink your drink. I think it might have been slide number 5 shows on there. It says rethink your drink.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you about how much sugar in it and telling you how much to drink.
Okay.
You know, they want you to drink like 16 ounces of water, but that's different. But we don't want to drink. You see the Hawaiian punch? We don't want to drink one Hawaiian punch a day. And a lot of times when you go to functions after church, I think people are getting better now, but they used to have a whole lot of Hawaiian punch and fried chicken.
Mm-hmm.
But I notice now a lot of churches are going to having bottled water with the dinner. And as, instead of having fried chicken, doing baked chicken. So that's a good thing.
Go ahead, Pastor Kenneth.
I heard something this morning on Dr. R's, and they were talking about the COVID testing, and they were saying that the rapid testing is probably the best test to take, because some of these tests take a week or two to come back, and by the time they come back, they are not really of that much benefit. So I don't know what is the latest thing on this. Is the rapid test the best test to take?
Okay. So it's, for example, like I was just telling Pastor, a lot of times when you go take your test, let's say, for example, you want to know because you just came back from Jacksonville, you found out your cousin in Jacksonville tested positive for COVID. A lot of times people go in and take the rapid right away because they want to see what's going on. But then they'll still take a PCR test, which is later, 3 days later. So there have been studies showing that sometimes the rapid test could be false positive. Or you should take the PCR. So again, I'm not going to say which one is best and which one is not, because I'm not a scientist and I'm not a medical provider.
Okay.
But what I am, what I am going to say is that the rapid test is a good test to take if you want to know right away. But a lot of times what some people do, they go in and take the rapid, and then they still take the PCR. I know if you go to FAMU, they'll let you take both, because then the other one comes back later, and it is more, I guess, let me put it like this. It's a more stronger, it detects more than that rapid one does.
Well, the reason I was asking, because we have this kind of stuff happen that can be very confusing.
Right.
See, and that's why I was asking when we brought that up, because I said, well, wait a minute. So they're saying the rapid test is the best one because the other tests. So I mean, it's very confusing. That's why I'm asking the question.
Right, and they might have, and maybe why it was explained, because the rapid test is less effective as far as making sure that it's giving you is known to have false positives. Not a bad test to take because you want to know immediately. But I know in certain situations, like when people were first flying out of the country, when COVID first started, they wouldn't accept a rapid test. You had to take the 3 to 5 day test. So it depends on what situation you are. It's not a bad test. I mean, I take them all the time, and I never had any issues. Mine didn't come back false positive anything.
Well, the reason I'm asking, because if it takes 5 days and you actually are positive, how many people have you been around that you might have infected?
Well, I'm glad you said that. So if you went to, again, I'm gonna use the same story. You went to Jacksonville and you found that your cousin was positive and you need to be tested. Well, you have to go in quarantine. So so that's the other thing about that. Because once you've been around somebody, or if you think that you had symptoms or you worked at a hospital and somebody that worked with you tested positive for COVID, you should go in quarantine. And even if your test comes back negative, they still tell you to go quarantine and then come back within the next 7 to 10 days and get tested again. So that's the procedure. So if you felt like you took a test today and you took the rapid one and you've been around somebody and they told you, say, well, even if you were around them last Thursday and they said they tested positive, then you still should wait. So the best thing to do is follow the CDC guidelines when it comes to testing and the procedure. Did that help you some?
My daughter Bria, she her supervisor came in one day, and she was just hanging around, and she wasn't looking good, and found out that she had COVID. So everybody that was around her had to go home immediately and quarantine
Correct.
themselves, and she immediately got a test taken. And so she waited till the test was negative before she could go back to
Right. So I know of an individual who went on a trip with some friends, and when they went on the trip with the friends, they came back to Tallahassee. They tested positive on the 3rd of August. A week later, on the 10th, they tested negative. So it's a 7-day period. But in the interim, they couldn't go around anybody, and the people who they had been around had to go in quarantine as well. So that's how you stop the spread. So let's say all of us met at Metropolitan today and one person was positive. Even if we go take that negative test, we still have to quarantine. And again, those guidelines, you got to go by the CDC guidelines because they change all the time. They can't make up their mind what they, it's different things. As scientists get more and study how this disease works, things change. So that's the best thing. The best thing to do as it relates to quarantining and how to take the test is go by the CDC guidelines, which stands for Center for Disease Control.
Okay, let me ask this then. If you're dealing with a flu or cold, is the new norm you have to quarantine if you think you got the flu?
No, that's not. It's not. But if you got the flu, you shouldn't be around people either because flu is highly contagious as well.
I'm just saying all of it's a virus. So I'm just wondering why the distinction between, with COVID that you have to quarantine, but if you got any other virus, you don't have to quarantine.
Well, my thing is let me put it like this. With the flu, they have never said do that. But if I came down with the flu, I definitely shouldn't be caught in Publix.
I hear that. Okay.
Yeah. That's the difference. It's just never been said. But, just like, for example, I remember about a year ago, a lot of people in our office came down with the flu. And people would go to work, before COVID came out, people go to work and know they had symptoms of flu and still go to work. Should have never done that. That was wrong. Yeah. Okay. Same thing with strep throat. If you got strep throat, you're not supposed to be around people.
Yeah, I understand.
Right. I have a correction that's been sent to me directly, Sheila. Based on recent information, FAMU testing site does not offer both tests on the same day. Both tests are offered, but just not allowed to be taken on the same day.
Okay, well, that's new news for me then. All right, thank you. But I know previously in the past, they were letting people do that.
Okay, good.
All right, thank you.
Difficult. I'm just asking because I know, sometimes we have all of these questions running through our mind. Well, why is this like this and this is like this and all that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah, by all means, we all learning together because that's a good thing. Now I can take that back because I didn't know that FAMU. I've never been tested at FAMU. I always go to CVS, but I know that we have people that go to that site, but I didn't know they were now not doing it on the same day anymore.
So Sheila, if I have taken the vaccine, and my doctors are strongly encouraged me also to take the flu shot, is that necessary?
Again, that's going to be based upon each individual. If your doctor is telling you that, that's something in your medical profile, the reason why they're encouraging that. Again, think back, even before we had COVID, they always do that flu campaign every year about this season, telling you get your flu shot, get your pneumonia shot, get your shingle shot. So again, if that's being encouraged by your provider, then that's a question that you're going to go back to your medical provider with, the reason why they're stressing that. And if you choose not to do that, then you still need to have that conversation with your medical provider. Because we are in flu season. So I can't tell you to take the flu shot, not to take the flu shot. I can't tell you to take the vaccine and not to take the vaccine. But what I can tell you is that if you have questions about any vaccine, whether it's flu, whether it's COVID, whether it's shingles, whether it's measles, have a conversation with your medical provider. That's what I can tell you. Stress that to you very well. And if you are underinsured or uninsured, I mentioned the places that you can go: Neighborhood Medical Center, Bond Community Health Center, as well as I think it's the FSU Medical Center over on Roberts Avenue. So again, I can't stress enough, because again, I'm not a medical provider, but I can tell you this: following up with your medical provider, following up with a nutritionist that, you can't really pay attention to your internet doctors or your doctor that come to the church all the time, but they're not licensed to be a doctor. You got to follow up with somebody who actually went to school, did their residency, because there are people who always won't tell you, like they said, people used to say, well, yeah, so-and-so, they went to, said they talked to somebody, like a guy told me the other day, he said, well, I don't believe in taking the vaccine because I got a lot of medical people in my family. He said he had no scientist or nobody that was a medical a physician. He just got medical people. But again, people have a right to make their own choices.
Yeah, I had somebody put in the comments that Google does not count.
Right.
I know that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of internet doctors, because I mean, anybody, we can go out there and create something and have a whole, and they'll start trending. Mm-hmm. And we could say everybody need to wear orange every Monday, and then all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of people wearing orange.
Are these internet doctors getting paid for folk that's coming on with them?
Right. So again, and if you don't have a doctor or you're not satisfied with your doctor, then do some research. If you have Capital Health Plan, they'll give you a whole listing of doctors. Just like how when we want to go buy a house, a car, or even just when we're in the grocery store and we're trying to figure out if we want to buy a Raisin brand, which brand we want to buy. Do we want to buy it from Kellogg's? Do we want to buy? Same way you got to do with your doctors. Mm-hmm. Just like Pastor Ward said earlier, he changed his cardiologist. It's the same way. If you don't feel you're getting what you need, they're not answering your questions, or if you think they're not being friendly to you, research and change. It's all about what you need. And again, every doctor gonna give you anywhere from about 10 to 15 minutes, but you could demand 25 minutes because you ask all those questions and write down on a little sticky note or a piece of paper things that you want to know. And when you go pick up your medication, remember, go ahead. Every time I always hear people that say, have any questions for pharmacists? They say no, they're trying to get out of that, get out of Walgreens and CVS fast. So if you got questions, and to make sure that you're not taking, not taking multiple medicines for your finger. You went in for your finger, but you got 3 different medicines because you're going to different doctors. So yeah, those are the things that we have to pay attention to, in addition to eating healthy. You are what you eat.
I'm glad that you brought that up about talking to the pharmacist, Sheila, because we had a family member that's a nurse that suggested that we do that regarding medications my husband was taking, to make sure that there wasn't any intermingling of medications that were going to cause some challenges for him if there were medicines that didn't agree with each other. And so it is great that we ask questions. There is no dumb questions. Every question that we ask, if you don't have the understanding at that moment, it is a good question and it should be asked.
Yeah. My doctor even told me to go to the pharmacist and ask the pharmacist, is there any bad interaction between medications?
Right.
Just Monday, I took my wife to her primary care doctor, and they had her taking some medications that were creating other problems. And that, like she was taking LASIK, and the LASIK was negatively interacting with the other medications. So what they do, that's the only thing about medicine. Uh, uh, let's be straight about medicine. They're not making no medicine that's gonna cure you. They treating symptoms. There is no there is no long-lasting business if they cure everybody. So they're basically treating symptoms. That's what's happening. That's what most of the medication is. I wish to God they would make something that would really help people to get well. But so much of the stuff that they make is it does one thing and then create another problem.
Right. But you know what can help us get well? That we all have to follow, myself included. If we drink our water and we eat healthy, then we can conquer a whole lot of other things.
That's exactly right. You maintain your health while you got it. You're gonna be in better.
Right. You know, you can correct problems. We change and we do our exercise. We have great thoughts. You know how sometimes, Pastor, you see people coming and you hate to say how you doing because they're gonna be like, oh, not just, we know we all have aches and pains, but it's good sometimes just to say a positive word. It's a positive word. And with that being said, before we get too far on, earlier I asked you to give me different words. You gave me joy, living well, enjoyment, balance, hope, peace, faith, and serenity. Those are all great words. So in life, if you live well and continue to have joy and enjoy the enjoyment of your family and balance your work and your time, you can always have hope and peace, because the main thing is to create a serenity that will bring you great faith.
Yeah.
So I used all those words that you all gave me. So it's thinking positive. So if you think, well, Pastor Barrington said he only eat oranges, I'm not going to do that. Lady Ward said she drinks milk, I don't want to do that. Well, you complaining, and when you complain, then you put on stressors, and that brings your immune system down too. So you can never let people take your peace. I heard a pastor preach one time, I'm so glad I got peace. So you have to have peaceful and go in your quiet place and do your exercises. Stretch. My godmother, she swears by it. Don't let the sun come up and you still laying in the bed. Get up before the sun come up and do your stretches and whatever things you want to do. And make sure, just like I'm sure Pastor Ward, you had to create a lot of menus. You can create menus for you for the week. We know sometimes we get off our menu because we don't want to cook today, so we're going to just swing in here. But if you're going to go pick up something, make sure that it's something that's healthy. I like to go sometimes to Zeke's Grill and get me some grilled salmon and a nice salad, or just stop by Publix and buy my own salmon and cook it and make me a salad. The best cooked food is the one you cook at your house.
Yes.
So we have to learn how to maintain a healthy diet, watch portion control. Don't eat 10, 11 o'clock at night, 20 a piece wings. That's not going to come out good for you. And when you do follow those things, it can avoid other things, because we all guilty of doing something wrong. We all are. But the thing is, when you know better, do better, make the corrections, and have more conversations like this. This is great what your church is doing. Are y'all doing this again next month?
We will talk about it with the others meetings, because you've offered some things that we hadn't considered, like you were talking about the underinsured. I believe that's a really important key that we should, extend to others, because sometimes in the minds of many of us, we don't think we can be insured, because it's not the big names or whatever. So I'm grateful that you shared that. So we will be talking about that with the leadership and seeing what we can do going forward.
And as well as having a rep maybe come from Capital Health Plan, because some people don't realize when you have Capital Health Plan, you can call a wellness coach. They don't realize that's a part of what you're paying for. They will talk to you on the phone. when the pandemic first started with Blue Cross Blue Shield, they sent us a thing out and we had to do a couple of little exercises online, and they gave us so much percentage off on our insurance for that month. So those are, it's different things that happen. So you can have different reps to come out too for people who are insured. There's some people carry an insurance card in their wallet and never go to the doctor.
So how do we encourage our people to go to the doctor? Because you know, our people are bad at going to the doctor until the last minute.
Right. So what we have to do as a people is just like I said earlier, you take care of your house. Your house is you're in the community, at your church. Maybe when you're whoever gets up and read the announcements, you know, like for example, it's October coming up. When you read the announcements or you post them in your bulletin, however you get things out, you know, everybody do everything electronically now. Put in there, hey, don't forget it's breast cancer month. Remember to go and get a mammogram or take a loved one to the doctor. You know, encourage it. You have to just encourage it within your family, within your organizations, and remind people that October, November is open enrollment for a lot of insurance, whether it's Medicaid, Medicare, Capital Health Plan, you work for the state, you work for the federal government. It's time to do open enrollment. And if you need to make changes or if you need to increase some changes, you know, go in and get your eyes checked, all of those things. We just have to, you know, do more messaging, you know. And a lot of people, the only time they don't even watch the news, they watch social media. So putting things out on your social media pages about, you know, going to the doctor, healthy eating. And so this is awesome that you not only had this on Zoom, but you put it on YouTube as well as on Facebook Live. So these are the kind of things that we need to do and consider. So I just think this is wonderful that your church is doing this. And hey, if you do it, have a different topic every month, because you're helping people. And because we can't be face to face now a lot, this is an awesome outreach.
Yeah, it is. One of the things that we can do, we have the Healthy Heart Ministry. We are part of a group of churches, Healthy Heart Ministry, and they're doing things, encouraging churches to work together to help people stay healthy, keep things in front of them. So basically, I think we just have to activate that more, that we can keep things in front of people all of the time, dealing with health stuff. I know before all of this stuff went down with COVID, we had stuff in the bulletin every month.
Right.
Kind of, I mean, on our electronic announcements, we stopped printing that stuff. We started putting it online, so everybody gets it.
And that's great.
We have to go back and I think plug that in. Healthy Hearts would be a great way, one of the best ways to address health issues.
Exactly. I think that's very great. And again, I want to congratulate you on and thank you so much for inviting us out these 3 weeks. This has been a great pleasure. And I'm glad that I learned that, fam, you don't do both tests the same day anymore. But yeah, and like I said earlier, things change every day. Whatever happened this morning may not be going on this afternoon. So, but just remember, you are what you eat. Think positive, never negative. You know, you just want to make sure that you're maintaining. Yes, ma'am.
Joyce.
Go ahead,
I
Joyce.
just wanted to add too, I know that you mentioned bond and neighborhood health, but there's a third FQHC, Community Health Center in the area.
Who is it?
North Florida Medical Center is on North Monroe Street.
Them.
Okay.
Yes, so that's also,
I apologize.
yes. That's okay. So as you're, doing this, and you can share that as well. Same vision.
Yes, yes. So there are a lot, and it may be good, like I said, if you all want not only just get insurance people to come like Blue Cross and Capital Health Plan, you may want to get representatives from Bond, North Florida, and Neighborhood Medical Center to come and talk to you so they can talk about their services to share.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is all outreach. It's just now we have to do it this way. We have to Zoom and YouTube and Facebook Live.
Yeah. That's
But
it.
again, I am so thankful that you all invited me. This has been great. I'm glad that I see you again, Miss Barrington. I just love Miss Barrington so much. She always had a great something to say every day. So yeah. So when you keep them kind of attitudes like that, and Lady Ward and Pastor Ward, I'm appreciative of you and everybody else. And thank you, Pastor, for allowing them to have me on, as well as the rest of the staff that we've had on.
You're most
So
welcome.
any additional questions, or as they say, any parting words? So if you have not, I'm gonna leave this with you. Been doing the right thing and keeping that plate full with those grains and those vegetables and those fruits and the protein. Today is the day to start, but it is almost 9 o'clock. So I don't know if you want to eat this late. So we're gonna start first thing in the morning. And you all can also do other things like call each other or email each other and say, hey, have you had a healthy, did you do your plate today? You know, and you could also Google My Plate and download the app as well. Thank you, Ms. Barrington. Yeah, download the app, get those steps in. So, Lady Ward, I'm gonna get with you and Ms. Barrington, because I know Ms. Barrington loves to walk, and we could start a walking team, you know, social distancing. It might only be about 4 or 5 of us, but you know, helping each other. So if you have, I'm gonna say this also, if you have relatives, you know, who they just kind of like, not really, you know, want to walk, just kind of encourage them, because we have to start within our own homes. So if you know you got a relative and they have not been eating right and their cholesterol is up, share this information with them and then say, let's start walking. Let's start walking. Yeah.
We've actually started walking every morning because there was so many medications I was on. Actually talked to my doctor about it, and he said, "Wow, you are on a lot of medication. Let's see what we can do to decrease the medication and whatever you need to do." And I told him that I have started walking. He said, "That's one good thing that you're doing." I said, also changed my diet because I've lost 25 pounds since the beginning of the year, so I'm happy about that. I've gotten below 300. I've gotten below 300, Elder Moore.
Amen.
Right now.
I'm at 290 right now, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. So to get up, I started making myself get up in the morning and walk with my wife. So we did a good walk this morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Minister Joyce,
Yes.
you have a question? I'm sorry, Sheila. Minister Joyce, did you have a question? Your hand was raised. I didn't want to miss you. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Sheila. I apologize.
All right. And that's awesome. And see how good you're all excited about it. And that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
we want to do. We
Oh,
want
yeah.
to stay excited.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I thank you all so much. And I don't have anything else, but do you have any additional questions for me?
I was
Okay.
just going to tell everybody to make sure you wash your fruit and vegetables.
Please.
Yes.
Please wash your fruit and
Yes.
vegetables when you get home. Don't just go in there and just take them out and just start eating them, because you don't know what. I don't care where you're getting it from. Just wash your fruits and vegetables, and watch the fish the seafood that you get. Smell your fish, smell your shrimp, and if it has a twang to it, it ain't right.
Exactly.
When I go to the fish shop, I always ask them, let me smell it, because being a chef, I always know what's good and what's not. And some of the those who do eat beef, and if you look at it and it's real red, they colored it. Okay, so you have to watch everything that you do, even with the pork. If it's too pink, they colored it. Okay, they use some dye to color it so it can in all those cells that they have on meat. It's meat that has been sitting around for a long time. They're trying to get rid of it. So please be careful. Please be mindful when you go shopping and everything like that. Read your labels. Read all that stuff, because I'm actually going to start my cooking channel in October, and I'm going to be talking about a lot of this stuff and telling people how to eat differently and how to actually create some stuff. So I just want to put that little plug in, that commercial spot in.
All righty.
Thank Thank you, Sheila. Pastor
You're
Kenneth,
welcome.
I'm going to put the floor to you. This is it. I don't have anything else, Pastor Kenneth.
Sheila, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insight with us.
Thank you for having me.
We're just trying to let's give her an applause if you would, please. Thank you so much. My dad used to always say, it's better to keep your health while you got it, rather than trying to get it back, because it's tough trying to get your health back. Everything that tastes good ain't good for us.
Say that.
Amen.
Amen.
So that's the way many of us have been trained, you know. We taste oriented. Yeah, we want the food to taste good, but everything that you know, and some of the stuff that we used to eat when we were growing up, we know better now, and that kind of thing. So let's apply ourselves to wisdom and see and work to maintain our health and stay healthy. With that said, let's pray. Father, thank you for our time together tonight. We thank you for all of those that are tuned in to Zoom, and those that are tuned in through Facebook and YouTube. We pray that someone has heard something that will bless their lives and that they will be encouraged to be proactive about their health. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, amen. Amen. Pastor Ward, give me a buzz when we get off the line, please.
Thank you, everybody. You all have a peaceful night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
See you
night.
all tomorrow.